Welcome, guys, to Construct Your Life podcast. Today, we got my man Collin here, who went from an employee, working, having a great job, but decided he wanted to buy a business. We talk about all about it, how he balances 3 kids and running a business. It's a great episode. Join us for Construct Your Life podcast.
Constructing your life is about much more than just building a bank account. Each week, join mindset coach Austin Linney as he interviews guests who are constructing their dream lives and impacting the world around them on a daily basis. If you're an entrepreneur or wanting to start a business, or you just want to hear motivating stories of how others have overcome the odds, you are in the right place. And now for your host, Austin Linney.
Oh, man, we got him. You know, if you want your house alarm to work properly, this is the man to call.
I'm here, man. I'm here. The master
we got
of alarms.
Collin in the house. You know, I was thinking about it when I was working out this morning because I knew I was interviewing today. You're in a very unique position where they don't need you till they need you. And when they need you, the trust level needs to be at 110. It's an odd business to be in, but we're not going to go there yet, the Alarm Texas guy. Because I was reading your other stuff, sales, Salesforce, all these different things. You start your kind of story where you want to, and we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah. Shortly, I graduated from Texas A&M here in Texas. And shortly after that, I did what, pretty much everybody does when they graduate from a public Texas school. They either go be a consultant, which I don't even know what that means when you're a college graduate.
Well, it means that I think you make a lot of money. I've found out.
I think so too. I think you make a lot of money. You do a lot of Excel and PowerPoint. And I don't know what past that. Allegedly, you consult on some things. So I don't even think I'm qualified to be a consultant yet. But here we are. The other path is oil and gas, and so
yes.
I'm in the Houston area. I went oil and gas. Actually, it was in petrochem. And I was, really excited.
What part of Houston?
So I lived for the longest time down in downtown, but I grew up in Magnolia, which is north.
I grew up in
Houston.
Sugarland.
Oh, dude, that's great. Well, the business Alarm Masters was in Sugarland. The office was in Sugarland for 40 years.
There you go.
So it's a good spot. So yeah, I did petrochem. I worked at LyondellBasell, who has plants all over the place. And I started there and kind of did the whole thing. The first week I started, they were like, hey, look, you got a lot of promise. You're great. Here's the thing. Unless you're an engineer, you have an MBA, you're not going anywhere. Like, well, it would have been really cool if you would have told me that in the interview, but I guess I don't have a lot of options. So I did my MBA, wrapped that up. I was a pricing analyst, did a bunch of stuff there. And they realized, they're like, man, you're not really good at spreadsheets. You're really good with just talking to people and walking around. So we're going to move you to sales. So I did the sales gig for a while. It was your kind of typical golf, breakfast, lunch, dinner, take customers out thing. And that was cool. But these contracts are negotiated over 5 years, 10 years long. And so if you don't have a contract coming up, there's not a lot to chew on. So I ended up bouncing out of that space and going to a startup that supplies door reader technology into the security space. So they're the manufacturer. And they're a cloud software company. So they don't manufacture they do manufacture some hardware, but they're mostly a software company. And I started started over as an inside sales, kind of junior sales guy, worked my way up to being in sales management there. And while I was there, I was meeting security company owners like myself now. And these guys were, a couple of years prior turning a wrench as a technician, and now they had multi-million-dollar businesses that they own and ran. And I was just blown away by that. And so that always kind of stuck in the back of my head, man, these guys are doing it. If they would just do some things on the sales and marketing side and create some process in their business, they would crush it. So did that for a long time, did that for about 4 years, got recruited to go do back as an individual contributor in enterprise sales at Salesforce. And while I was there doing that, doing the software game, some of my past customers came back and tried to hire me as a VP of sales. And I said, hey, why don't you let me consult with you? Finally got into my consulting game. And I basically did fractional CRO VP of sales. So I did that for 3.5 years, worked with a lot of security companies, helped them grow their business, and kind of picked up my head, talked to my business partner, Stephen Ullman. I was like, look, dude, we're doing this for security companies. We need to go do this for ourselves. Let me sell you on a whiteboard for a few minutes and tell you why this makes sense.
Mhm.
And that's the history that led us up to jumping in the game.
And we're going to unpack that. And what I think is interesting, right? I cut my teeth selling wine, master bartender, 20 years, high end hotels, the whole nine. And what I found, because I deal with people that build software, I consult on a bunch of different stuff, plus my own businesses. A great developer of a software makes it look like trash to the consumer because they don't care about the bells and the whistles, right? And then
Yep.
the sales guy doesn't understand the ops side.
They
It's
don't.
very rare that a human being, what I would consider a 5-tool player in baseball, has all the abilities. And I found as a CEO of my small business that I was more of a fill in the gap kind of guy more than I was the leader per se. Did you see the same thing when you took over your company?
I did, yeah. I think, at the size of where we are, it feels like I'm filling in a lot of gaps. It feels like I'm in all the gaps. If there's a gap, I'm in the gap. So I feel like, yeah, I'm definitely doing that. I'm definitely doing a lot of roles that I, over time, want to kind of outsource out. And like, this is part of my personality. Like when I was at the petrochem company, I wanted to understand how the plastic was made. So like I wanted to go to the plant. I want to understand the chemistry. Like, oh,
Yeah.
what does a cracker do? Like, how did you fuse the water hydrogen molecule? Like I wanted to understand that so that I could wrap my mind around selling it. And so that's sort of how I am now. Is I'm
But
trying to learn it.
but when you're out, because I know the space. Okay, I'm born and raised Texas. I'm very
Yeah.
familiar. All my buddies are in oil and gas. Okay,
Oh yeah.
all of them. You wanted to know those things, and that made you a great salesman. But how often did you really need to know that to sell those guys, or was it more
Yeah.
about relationship building and kind of handshake, golf course? That's what cracks me up. That's why I know you're gonna crush it as a business owner, because you didn't want to just know the one layer of sales. You wanted to
That's right.
understand everything. So if the moment came up, you could fill in that information if need be.
That's right. Very few times did I have to use that knowledge when I was in sales. To answer your question, I did use it, but I didn't have to do it a lot. But the fact that I could hang with these customers when they weren't like, oh, I got to dumb this
Mm-hmm.
down for the dumb sales guy. They were like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay, he kind of understands what I'm talking about.
Mm.
That bought some rapport. And then conversely, like on the alarm side, like I came in with a lot of security experience because we'd been consulting for them, and we had also been I'd been in the space, but even still, like I go out on job sites and I'm putting, like when I go out on a sales call for a large customer, if they've got an issue with their system, like I'm getting my hands in that cabinet. Like I'm getting in there, I'm looking at all the panels that they've got, how it's wired up. Like I'm not the expert, and I tell the customer
Mm-hmm.
that I'm like, you don't want me to work on this, but like let me take a look. Like I can help for sure and diagnose some issues. And you just buy a lot of rapport. And I think ultimately it's a confidence thing for me. I think just in general, like I feel more confident if I can know more about it. But what's funny though, at Salesforce, they did not want you to do that. They discouraged you from understanding the technical side of the product. Yeah, this is kind of a bizarre thing. Their thesis was you need to focus on features and benefits and understanding how to solve pain. And if
Okay.
you follow our playbook, Salesforce is all about do the playbook and put in the activity. If you put the numbers into the playbook, the good stuff's going to come out. And like if
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't come out, there's something going on that's out of your control, and we're good with that. So they're not like necessarily quick to fire unless you're not
Yeah.
following their playbook, and their playbook is tight.
Well, the problem is that I want to take playbooks, rip them apart, burn them
Yeah,
down.
yeah,
It took me 7 years to find business partners that allow the stallion to be the stallion,
yeah,
because I
yeah,
don't fit in a box, and
yeah.
so it's very hard, right? And I think, how old are you?
33.
33. So you're consulting. I'm trying to get in the psychology of it. You're
Yeah,
consulting. You're watching guys that you're consulting for making good money.
yeah,
You're at this age, what, you're 31, 30,
yep,
30-ish?
yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What brought you to, I need to own this thing too? Like, how did you get from I'm consulting to I can think about buying a company?
I was kind of just thinking about my future goals, and I was thinking, man, a fractional executive business is a tough business to sell, borderline impossible to sell in a fractional CRO space. And so that played in the back of my mind. The other thing that played in the back of my mind is just, I want control, and I know that I can build something great. I was confident after working with these companies, implementing some strategy, watching them flourish across a multiple sample size, right? Like with multiple customers. I was like, man, I think I could do this. Like and I know where I'm weak. I know where I'm weak. And I know before I go into buying that business, like I'm not a great manager. Just raise the hand right now. Not a strong manager. And that's because I cannot stand being micromanaged, and never had a boss that did. And so some people need a little bit of micromanagement. They need a little bit of hands-on. They need some of that. And I just don't respond to that. So it's difficult. So I know so I've created the systems and the people and the levels to help me with that. But yeah, I just thought I want to build something for myself. And like, yeah, I could get one more client. I could get another client. But ultimately, like, I want to build something that's lasting and enduring.
Guys, let me take a minute to tell you about my buddies over at Lead Hub, Ben and Aaron, the best humans I know. Not only are they amazing at marketing for trade companies, but Ben started his HVAC company in his garage, sold it for multi-million dollars. So when this guy talks, I listen. When we took over Dietz Mechanical, we had 22 reviews in 22 years. In 7 short months, we went from 22 reviews to 107. We went from a 4.2 to a 4.7. We tripled our Facebook presence, and we tripled our calls. If you're an HVAC, plumbing, electric, landscaping company, and you're looking for a no BS approach to marketing, you're looking for people who have done it before, you got to go to leadhub.net. So I'm 41, and I will say that my claim to fame is on the plane. I was helping an 18-year-old kid out on the way to Palm Springs last week to see my parents, and he said, "Man, you look great for 41." So listen, I'm going to take that one for the rest of my life. So that was great.
You should. Absolutely.
But what's great to me, because I do coach some people in their 20s and early 30s, what is exciting to me about this generation, and I see it in you, God, I'm talking like the old guy, is that they are not comfortable with just making money.
Yeah.
Like, they've made money. Like, a lot of my guys make great money. Yeah. But they're like, this can't be it. Mm-hmm. This can't be it. You had to have those same kind of feelings.
No doubt. I want to build something. I've told my wife this. I've used this line. I want to build something that's enduring. I want to build something that's around for multiple decades, and something that employs people, that is growing, that people want to work for, they want to work with. There is something in the challenge there. And that was part of the reason why I got out of the sales game. Is like, man, I was exceeding quota every single year. It's just like, again, like, we're starting over again. Like, yeah. Okay, I'm doing the same thing. I'm hearing the same problem. I'm doing the same cycles. It's like, I want new challenges, harder challenges, different challenges. And I want to build something that lasts. Yeah. So you're right. You're absolutely right.
I love that. So you're consulting, and then you go, and I know Steven. So you go and you say, let me pitch you, buddy. Let me give you the whiteboard spiel. God, I would have loved to have been a fly on the room in that wall. In that room. So how did you go about hunting down? Did you get it from current consulting clients? Did you already have it in your network?
Hunting down the deal, is that what you're asking?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I joked with somebody else, like, I didn't even know what a searcher was, or ETA. Like, all of this is new to me. I did not know that was a thing. I was just like, I want to buy a business. I think I can crush it. And so I made one phone call to a person I used to work with who became a broker. And I said, hey, I want to buy a business. It needs to be within this size and this geography. And she laughed and said, you and everybody else want to buy this business, but you're lucky because there's one business that's on the market right now that fits your criteria. Ended up contacting the guy. It was a guy that was my dealer back when I was at the security business. So we already knew each other, like instantaneous rapport. I wanted to build his brand and his legacy. So it wasn't just all about money for him. He also, this is a 40-year-old business, and his dad started it. He didn't want it to just get gobbled up into PE. And that was the prevailing parties that were bidding on the business. And so we had one phone call, got under LOI, and now the whole due diligence LOI to close, that was like 4 months. I feel like it was 36 months in 12 months, or in 4 months rather. And so that was wild. But it was one phone call. We put one LOI out, got the deal at a great price. and still have a great relationship with the sellers today. Um, so I don't have this magical, like, man, I went out and looked at 100 sims a day. I didn't. I was like, this is what I want. I was already in the industry, knew this guy, called my friend that was a broker. She worked with me prior to this, and we got it done.
What did you have to believe about yourself during the LOI process that you were the guy capable of running this business?
Yeah, there was a lot of, I never really, when people said that they struggle with imposter syndrome, I was like, I don't believe that. Like, uh, I'm pretty confident in general. But when we got down to that last month, I was like, dang, I'm about to take over 15 employees, and like payroll's a thing that you got to be hitting every other week. And like, I started to really question if I knew what I was doing, and really started to question if I had the chops. Um, and to Steven's credit, man, I'm very open with him, and we've been business partners on multiple other businesses and have known each other since college. So I just shared with him some of that, and he was like, "Look, dude, I think this is a common feeling. I think that this is a normal thing." And what I've stuck to is like, hey, I'm not going to ignore the imposter syndrome feelings. There is a lot of stuff that I don't know. So instead of pretending like that's not real, Collin, you know a lot, you're capable. I'm like, you know what? I'm not capable of everything. Like, let's fix that. Let's go figure out the people that are way smarter than me. I'm going to go to these sellers and say, hey, you're smart. You built the business up to where it is today. What did you do that worked? What did you do wrong? What would you redo? If you were in my position, what would you do? And he was kind of blown away by that, because he was like, you're kind of the young, smart technology kid. Like, you're asking me for advice. That's kind of funny. And he was happy to give it. And man, I'm glad he did, because he gave me a lot. And my employees too. Like, some of these employees have been here for 15 years. So I'm just asking them questions. What have you seen? What would you improve? And so I know the answer is, in my brain, it started with, man, I've got a little bit of like, can I do this? Am I the right guy? Am I faking this? And I realized, hey, that's an okay feeling. Like, that's okay to have that emotion. Like, I need to own that and know that, that I can solve for this.
How was your first day addressing the new team?
Well, day one, our vans got broken into at Greens Point Mall,
You're an
and we
alarm
had.
company.
That's right, and I was like, how is this even possible? Well, we do all the work down there, and so they parked in the middle of the parking lot. I'm like, mistake number one: you park down the street and you walk over to Greens Point Mall. And so anyway, they got broken in day one. So day one was like scrambling a little bit to figure out, like, get the guys the tools and the parts of the things that they needed and get their cars, their vans, windows replaced. But addressing the team was great. To Steven's credit, again, he had the idea to like print out a bio about us that's a couple pages, just like about us and our families, and like a kind of an FAQ style, like what's going to change, what's not going to change. Hand that out to them, let them read it, absorb it, think about it, and then have the conversation that kind of answers those questions. And it went great. We did not have a single employee leave as a result of the ownership change, which is great. We've definitely had employees leave, and we've definitely, done some of that, but none of that was as a result of the ownership change. And so addressing the team, and we approached it like that. We said, look, we're not going to pretend like things aren't going to change, but let's start with what's not going to change. Your jobs are safe. Your pay is safe. Your role's probably going to change a little bit, but you're going to be trained on those roles, and you're going to know. And you know what else? You're going to know what's expected of you. People thrive when they know what's expected of them. What they don't thrive is when they're going into an area and they don't know what's expected of them or what, and they're just thrown new responsibility. And it's like, hey, I'm going to make sure you know where the goalpost is, at all times. So you're never going to not know where you stand with me. You're always going to know where we are, and I'm going to treat you with respect. I'm not going to raise my voice at you or demean you. And that's common in this industry. It's a very blue collar industry. Owners and ops manager will raise their voice at the technicians, kind of old boys club type of thing. I'm just like, that's not my style. Like, I'm never going to do that. If I have a problem with you, if I feel like I have to get to that place with you, then you're probably not a fit here. And they appreciate that, and I think that they've thrived since we've taken over.
I love that. And where did you learn? I mean, where did you take your leadership style from? Where did you mold? Did you teach yourself that? Is it just kind of stuff that you've seen in managers in your life?
Yeah, I learned that. I think the cliche answer is I learned it from my dad. My dad is an extremely strong leader. He owned his own company, very small boutique construction management company, very small team. I had two brothers, so you got three boys with really strong opinions. Ran a construction management business. He's an elder and a leader at our church, and so he is started the church, and so he has had a lot of leadership experience and he has taught me a lot of that. He's instilled a lot of leading from the front. Servant leadership is like one of his favorite concepts in the entire world. And so we were drilled on that from when I was a young guy, just learning from him. So I had a lot of that, and he's a super humble guy. And so I struggle with humility. I just am confident. I just kind of am that way. And so I know that about myself, and he's taught me that since I was a young guy to be like, hey, watch your blind spots, and here's where they are, and like, so yeah, I've learned a lot of that from him. And I know it's kind of the cliche answer, but he kind of taught me that, and I saw him be an entrepreneur and how people flourished underneath him, and took a lot of pages out of his playbook, if you will.
So before you close on the business, and as you sit today, before that, and then as you sit today, what was easier than you thought with the business than you thought beforehand?
Yeah, some people are going to hate this answer. What was easier was sales. I'm already a sales guy, but I thought, man, having to get your own deals, and like they had no marketing, no sales, they had no anything. So it's like that's going to have to be a problem. But because of the amount of customers they had and how seasoned the customer base was, there was so much deal flow that came from the existing customers, and just doing the basic stuff like getting them a proposal in 24 hours, following up, being responsive, insane close rates just from that alone. Just like answering the phone and doing the things that you like, all of us would think, man, that seems super basic. But I'm telling you, there's a void in this industry. Like, we've had so many customers call us and say, I have called 5 alarm companies and cannot get somebody out to my business. Like, will you come out this week? I'm like, I'll come out right now. Like, can we meet there in an hour? And that goes a long way. And like, there's some basic stuff I know, like 75% of deals that are accepted are the first one that's in, regardless of price, right? So I'm like, man, I just got to get the deal in quick. Like, I just get the proposal in fast. So the sales thing was a little easier. I thought it was going to be a really massive challenge to like create a deal flow, create pipeline. We've not had a real issue with pipeline and deal flow. So I would say that was easier than I was expecting.
What was harder than you thought?
Operations and field service is like, man, I can build a model spreadsheet. I can do zip codes, and I can do geolocation, and I can have the fanciest technology. There is so much that's unaccounted for. And I've talked to a lot of friends that own plumbing companies, and very different, just for a variety of reasons. The standard field service playbooks don't always fit this industry, and I could go into that more, but I saw a lot of other businesses struggle to be profitable with their service departments, and I thought, man, that seems easy. Like, we could solve for that. Like, they're just not very smart, I guess. Like, that's why they're struggling. And turns out it is quite difficult, and there's a lot of different variables that go into play. So I would say managing the operations of the service department, and I'm not even the service department manager. I'm just like trying to help fix the problems and help the service department manager, and it is tough. I'll say that.
Yeah, I think the most surprising thing in business that people don't pay attention to is the nuance per sector, even within the same company. There's a lot of new, like perfect example, like I call my service HVAC guys. Yeah. They're my prima donnas. So they are the ones that have the most drama. It's just the truth. They'll tell you for themselves. The commercial HVAC guys, I barely see them. I don't even know who they are. Like, they're war horses. They just work. Yeah. And then the plumbers, they're an interesting group of people. Yeah. But they're the ones that work the hard. It's just every little area has its own little understanding. And what I've done, and this is all, I'm not claiming that I know what's going on, but taking each group to breakfast once a month and just talking to them changed everything.
Yeah. We have been doing that in the form of team meetings at the office. Craziest thing, the old
Yeah.
owner did not believe in meetings. So the very first time the technicians got together for a meeting together was when they were announcing they were selling the business, when we were there. First
How
meeting.
many
They had
years?
never
How
been
many
together.
years?
I mean, the dude owned the business for 35 years
Oh
and
my
he
goodness.
never had a meeting. Never had a meeting. So we started doing monthly breakfast meetings at the office where I'd buy all my technicians and my
Yeah.
service techs and my project managers. We'd all just get together and bring in some breakfast and have them come in. And they're like, well, we don't want to come in because we're not getting paid. I'm like, you're getting paid. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? Like anytime we've ever had anything like this, we didn't get paid. So yeah, it was kind of funny. Yeah, we didn't have any meetings. So this is the first time that we started implementing meetings.
I want to ask you a question because this has been something for me because I'm a passionate person like you are. I'm very
Yeah.
passionate about what I'm doing. I care about people. I care about the community. I've had to get okay with my employees not having the same passion for their job, meaning they don't dislike me, but they're some are there for a paycheck and some are there for the bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to get them to believe what I believe is not going to get you anywhere.
That's right. That's right. That is been very eye opening. In fact, what's also interesting is like some of these guys, some of my technicians, it's not even just all about money either for them. Like some of them just are so they enjoy what they do so much that it's the work that they're doing. They're like,
Yeah.
man, I don't want to do residential service calls. Please don't put me on that. Like
Mm-hmm.
they would take a pay, they would take a pay reduction and then have to do that work because they just don't want to do it. And other guys are like, I'll do whatever, just increase my pay. Like, so it is funny, like how people are motivated, but you are right. Like no one is more passionate about this. I have one employee that doesn't have her email on her phone. And I'm just like, that's bizarre to me. Like you don't have your email on your phone. Like, okay, but she oh man, she comes in and works her tail off, but she just doesn't do the email on the phone thing.
One of the things that's very interesting, you're growing. Obviously, I've followed you. You're doing bigger projects. One of my kind of business philosophies is I let the business make me scale, not the other way around. Yeah. Meaning, I can't force scale on the business. We get bigger projects, and bigger projects make us have to be a better company.
Yeah,
we get a second location, and we have to learn how to operate out of two locations. I'm not going to tell you this is how we're going to do it. Yeah, I'm going to let the business teach us how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. That's a great point. I'm actually in the middle.
Perfect example, Graystar. We're doing Graystar, $200 billion company, largest property management company in the world. Yeah. They go, damn, they work different. I go, yeah, they do. And we're going to have to step up our damn game. Safety programs, hard hats, the whole nine. None of the stuff we did, contracts, how we get billed. I said, we're going to be a better company when we're done doing this project with them. And we are.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. We are in the same position. Like the old owner had stuck to what he had done forever. And like, again, this guy, I always get bothered when guys that buys businesses like talk bad about the old owners. I'm just like, look, dude, yeah, they do things differently than you. But one thing that was interesting is he was like, these are the only services and products we're going to sell. Yep. And like his customers were begging him to do some additional scopes of work that were tangential to the industry. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't do it. And like, I understand sticking to your core competencies, like totally get it. But right now is a perfect example. We've been crushing it for these two schools that we're working with. And historically, there's a scope of work that we hadn't done. We've always subcontracted it out and had never done. And they were begging. They're like, please do this. Like, we want y'all to do this. So we're like, we're doing it. We're figuring it out. We're getting trained on it. We're going to install the technology in our own office. Like we're going to step up and push the team. I literally had a meeting with my ops manager this morning. I said, do you think we can do this? Like, do you think, are you confident we can do this? He's like, we can do it. Like I promise. And he's pumped. He's jacked about it. Like he's ready to go. He spent last night. I said, dude, I spent 3 hours last night on the phone, and on the internet, just like researching this to see, like, I think we can get this done. So he's kind of excited about it. He's really excited, which makes me more jacked up.
Dude, true story. The biggest project we've done before this was a $400,000 commercial job. We are in the process right now of doing 2 $1.95 million projects.
It's
And the
awesome.
sales guy who's been with the company 7 years, young ex-Marine guy, he goes, "Can we do this?" I go, "Bro, I have no idea, but we're going to," I was like, "We're going to knock it out." And he goes,
Yeah.
"What do you mean?" I go, "We're going to figure it out." And
Yeah.
so me and the CEO talk all the time. We can't let them know that we're scared, because if
Yeah.
we let
Right.
them know, and so,
Yeah.
but what I mean is we're smart enough, we can figure it out, and we have, and we're
Totally.
doing great. I'm not worried about it, right? But what's exciting to me, and I think you feel the same way, now that we're moving into second location, bigger area, 10x the amount of people, the sales guys are going, "Well, I could double my numbers." I'm like, "Dude,
Yeah.
you could triple your numbers." And it's
That's
so
right.
exciting to see them jump on board with the culture going, "Oh,
Mm-hmm.
there's an opportunity here." Like, they've never had goals ever. And now we set
Yeah.
goals, and I made them
Wild.
push the goals. And now they're
Wild.
keeping track of them. And it's so cool to watch them flip the script.
Yeah. Yeah. I was listening to your podcast with Chris Williams, and you were saying something to the effect of like the success, the depth of success you can have is relative to the amount of uncertainty that you are willing to be comfortable
Yes.
with.
Ed
And
Milet.
dude, that, yeah,
Ed
and that
Milet.
is,
You ready for the quote? You ready for the quote?
I'm here.
He
Give
said,
it to me.
your level of success will only be predicated on the amount of uncertainty you can stomach."
Yeah, and that is never. I heard that, and I was like, dude, that has never been freaking truer than in SMB world. Like, and the reality is like, yeah, you're going to hit some uncertainty, and it's okay to be freaked out about it. The question is, how are you going to respond? Are you going to jump in 100% confident, or are you going to tiptoe? And I think the guys that get into trouble are not confident that they're going to be able to get it done, and they don't believe in their team. I think they really start
Yeah.
to have some doubts about their team. I'm like, dude, I believe in my team. Like, I really believe they are willing to step up. My ops manager is a killer. This dude, he acts like he's an owner because he cares so much about this. And I've given him a lot of promotions, a lot of like additional responsibility. So the trust goes both ways, right? Like I'm pouring into him, he's pouring into me. Like he's all about like this company and doing what's best. And like on his own time, he's working on this stuff. And that really gets me excited because I'm like, I believe in you and I believe in your leadership of this team, of your technicians. I think we could go do this new scope of work. And
this is not talked about enough. Like, I have a conversation in a couple hours. It's about to be very uncomfortable. We're hiring right now, probably like 4 to 5 people. There's a guy that I went after, big dude at one of our competitors. This is a huge hire for us. He wants to be a manager in a couple years. He wants to remove what he's doing, but he doesn't want to touch a part of the business that a manager would have to touch. And so I could literally say, okay, he'll figure it out. But then I thought, he's already pushing me back now.
Yeah.
He's just going to push me back later.
That's
and
right.
I think he's too comfortable where he is. So I'm going to turn him down. And then in 6 months, he might change his tone. That takes a level. We've never had somebody like this on our team. It takes a level of certainty that we're going to figure it out, that not a lot of business owners, they would cave to this. But then I'm going to have to answer to this problem 6 months down the road.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. You got it. Your team's got to believe in it. They almost have to be pushing you to do it. And it's back to your original thing. It's like, I'm going to wait for the business to make me scale. Well, part of the business is your team. So when your team is pushing and is ready to grow and do new and different things, that should be, a yellow flag as an owner. Like, okay, we're ready. Like this team is ready to go. You believe in the team. They're believing in it. Like, let's go give them a new challenge. And ultimately, like, people care about the work. They care about the work. They want to be challenged. They want to be pushed. They want new and different things. And so, yeah, I agree.
So, do you have kids or no?
I do. I have 3 girls. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So, how do you sold Steven, but you had to sell your wife. I'm an owner now. I don't have defined hours. Did y'all have a conversation beforehand? Like,
we did, man. My wife, she's a saint, dude. She like the first time I decided to become an entrepreneur and I left Salesforce, we were pregnant with our second girl. And, I was like, hey, about to go full time in this thing. I'm about to leave the surest job you could ever have. Like I was about to move up into management. Like it was a whole thing. This time we were pregnant with our third daughter. And, she was like, hey, I'm not concerned about the money and the stability. What I'm concerned about is you being at home and being present. And so like, we need to build guidelines around that before you buy this business. And so we had a really honest and real conversation about that. And I was like, no illusions. Like, I'm going to be working a lot of hours. But here's where those can fit. And like, the more that I like have done this thing, like this whole, you're working 80 hours a week and you have no control is a fallacy. You do have control. You have control. You can decide what you work. There are consequences for that, but there's consequences in work and in personal life. And so I made the decision to say, hey, this is the structure at which I'm going to work. These are the hours that I'm going to work. Here's when I'm coming in. Like, I will not go into work. I'm going to get my girls up from bed every single morning and make them breakfast. That is a non-negotiable for me. So I'm not taking meetings before 8 o'clock, really. Like, I'm getting them up at 7 and I'm not going anywhere or leaving my house till 8 o'clock. So like, that's a non-negotiable. I'm not doing it. And, there's some consequences for that. But for me, it's worth it. It's worth the exchange. And honestly, like, we've grown tremendously and like we continue to grow. And so I'm not worried about having to work more and more hours. I'm trying to create more structure. I want to be more effective in the hours I have, I think is what I would say.
What's the long-term plan for the current business? Is it to acquire more? Is it to grow the organic footprint? Kind of, what are you thinking as you push down? Where are your head's at right now?
Yeah, but I would say both. And we want to grow organically. We're trying to grow organically. We are. We have done a really great job at that, but we also want to acquire. We did a small tuck-in acquisition about 5 months after we purchased the platform. And we have goals to purchase more platforms and do additional tuck-ins along the way. But we're being really picky about where and what we buy because we just want to make sure it's the right fit, the right culture fit, the right size fit, all that.
It's amazing how much pickier you get after you own a company.
No doubt, man. The amount of stuff we've learned and like the stuff we just totally whiffed on during due diligence. And I don't know that it would have changed our mind, but like it definitely would have been good to know.
We actually reset our business plan twice in the last 15 months because there's nobody in the area besides getting their database that I would want to own for their reputation. So why would I go buy them? Yeah. The only reason I would buy them is for assets and locations. And unless they're going to sell to me, it doesn't make sense. I'll just go do it myself.
Do it yourself. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
I mean, and that's what, and I know it's an easy thing to say as him and I sit here and we own a business now, but I would rather you buy the right business on the right terms than buy something and have to clean up the mess. Because I've been cleaning up the mess for 15 months and I feel like I've been in war for 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, it's not even just like the financial thing. You see a lot of guys, on Twitter and social media, like, oh man, you'd rather not get that business done than it go bankrupt or whatever. It's like, yeah, like totally. I realize bankruptcy is a real thing. I'm not blowing that off, but I think actually the real risk is your opportunity cost. Like, are you going to go walk into this business? You need to really think about your time and like, is this the right deal? And like, do you really think you can scale this? Because like, there are other businesses out there you can buy in other industries too. So, I think it's not just the financial aspect. It's like, is this going to give you the highest return for your effort? I mean, really.
Last thing before we go, what is it like? Because I know who he is as a person, and I know I have great business partners. What is it like to have somebody with the values and the understanding, a business partner like Steven? What has that done for you as an owner operator?
Yeah, I can't speak. I mean, I've had a lot of different business partners. I own a couple other businesses, and Steven is not involved in some of those, but Steven and I have built and done many deals together. I can't speak highly enough about him, and not just because he's my business partner, but like truly as a good friend, and we've been friends for a long time. And I think when you have a business partner that you have a really deep personal relationship with, and you do life together, like our wives are friends. He has 3 kids and they're almost the exact same age as my 3 kids. You start to see a different perspective of life. Like we just went through a season of having sick kids for 3 months straight, just like cycle. And him stepping in and without it, it was just like a natural step in of like, okay, I got to take on these things. What it does is it creates the confidence in you to be the best version of yourself. Cause you got somebody in your corner.
Yep.
And like we have hard conversations. I would say his greatest strength is he loves the hard conversation. Yeah. Like he's like, bring it on. You are upset with me about something, throw it at me. Don't sugarcoat it. Like I want to hear it. And so I'm not amazing at that. And so I've like, when I have to have hard conversations with employees or customers or whatever, I can go to him and say, coach me on this. Share that with me. Tell me how I can do that better. But yeah, it's been great. Honestly, having a business partner, I wouldn't even, knowing what I know now, wouldn't do it without a business partner. Would not do it.
I have the luxury of just promoting my COO for the last 15 months to CEO about a month and a half ago. And I realized, well, two things happened. I realized I had to leave the office for him to hold the position that he needed in front of the guys. Second, when I'm down in Texas doing business, something came up with an employee, and I was like, well, let's talk about it afterwards. And he goes, well, if you let me do my job, you would just let me make the decision. And I was like, yep, you're right. I was like, you're right. You're 100% right. And that's my need to have a say in that is not. And so it's been having somebody, like we finished each other's sentences, like having somebody, you know, and even when we don't talk, we think the same. So like if something's bothering me for 3 days and we haven't spoken, like I'll bring it up and he goes, it's on my next meeting. And so like we see the same thing at the same level. It's the best. It's the best.
Yeah. Makes you better. It makes you both better. It's awesome. Good business partners are the best.
And you know, I tell everybody that comes on our team, it doesn't matter who you are, C-suite, fucking tech, office person, the oxygen's different with us. You're going to choke for the first week. Just take deep breaths. Because I love you and I support you, but I'm going to push you like you've never been pushed before. And if you don't like that, I don't know if this is a place for you.
No
period.
doubt.
End of story.
Yeah.
So if people want to find out about you, they want to follow the journey, how would they do that?
Yeah, hit me up on Twitter. I'm a TX Alarm guy. I post a lot on there. I'm pretty honest about some of the stuff we're going through. And I am going to write that book one day. I'm a horrific writer, so it might just be
super easy, man.
Book. Yeah, it might just be me reading my own book, but I'm going to write it.
Flip on Zoom and do start summary and just talk into the camera, and there's your book right there. Writes it for itself.
Yeah, no doubt, because I'm going to do it. But yeah, follow me on there or hit me up if anybody has any questions or wants to learn about the security space. I'd love to chat about it.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you sharing the journey. Send this episode around, share it with friends, and we'll see you next time, guys.
Absolutely.